All right. How you guys doing? What's up, Jack? What's up to our 2, 3, 4 listeners by now? How you guys doing? Thank you for coming back. Thank you for liking, subscribing, commenting, whatever, making us feel like someone's actually watching. We appreciate that. It's a beautiful week. We got spring forward. It's finally daylight for a little bit longer every day, which is pretty nice. Feeling good, ready for spring. Something that I've been super fascinated with for a couple months now, and it seems to be trending and gaining steam. There was actually a record-setting auction last week in the space. NFTs is something that we wanted to talk about a little bit today. So if you weren't aware, NFT stands for a non-fungible token. Basically, fungible means that it's not replicated. So a Bitcoin, I can trade one Bitcoin for another Bitcoin. Doesn't matter which Bitcoin is what, it's a Bitcoin. Non-fungible, I can't trade whatever I have is only a one of one or whatever. If you have something similar, we trade them, they're not the same. That's what non-fungible means. So this non-fungible token is something that's been gaining steam. One of the biggest places that it's kind of taking a hold of is in the digital art, basically like high value artwork. So what's happening, or what was the most recent biggest news, an artist by the name of Beeple sold a piece of art that consisted of 5,000 days worth of art all into like one video clip.
Yep.
Sold it through Christie's. So this is the first ever NFT sold through a traditional auction house, Christie's auction, which does like a lot of high-end artwork, and it sold for $69 million, making him instantly the third wealthiest artist living right now. A lot of people think that NFTs are completely dumb, trash, useless, all hype. A lot of people think that they're 100% the future. I'm a little bit in the middle, a little bit of both. I think a lot of people are going to get rocked on NFTs. I think a lot of NFTs are trash. They're completely hype, just trying to profit on the hype. But I think the technology is something that's here to stay and is going to really revolutionize a lot of industries.
Yeah.
What do you think about the space?
I think you nailed a lot of it. I think the biggest question that people bring up is it's basically digital art. And why would anyone pay any sum of money for something that can be just pulled up on the computer? You know, this isn't like having the physical Mona Lisa and then Googling, the Mona Lisa and seeing a picture. It's pretty much, for the untrained eye. Actually, I don't even want to say the untrained eye. It's identical, except the actual NFT is supported by the blockchain, proving its origin and its authenticity. So really, with the exception of, digging behind the surface layer, there's really no difference, from what I've gathered, between that, the actual NFT, and looking it up online. So it begs the question, where is the value? Why would someone spend money on it? And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. The first one being, people like to collect stuff. People like proving that they have a limited edition thing. And NFTs are a authenticated limited edition item. And additionally, if you think about it, like, what makes an actual painting of any value? Like, why is the Mona Lisa worth hundreds of millions of dollars? It's because someone's willing to spend money on it for that amount. And so I just think it's important to first ground yourself in basic economics, that things are really only worth what someone else is willing to pay for it. So it's really not for you to say if something is worth or isn't worth that much. If someone's willing to pay for it, at least to that individual, it's worth that amount. I think the basic economics argument that, like, I was taught, several years ago, is like, you can get a bottle of water for about, $1, but if you're in the desert and you haven't had water in a day, and someone's like, you need to give me $1 million for this bottle of water, guess what? If that's your only option and you have $1 million, that bottle of water may not be worth $1 million to you, because otherwise it's your life. So supply and demand, goes into a lot of it. And then the other thing I would say before I hand it back over to you, Jeremy, is there is a real possibility that as we continue to progress with technological innovation, we're going to be spending more and more time in the digital world. Like, think of like The Sims, or like the movie like Ready Player One, where you're now living for at least some period of time, maybe a half hour, maybe an hour, in a virtual reality world. And I've read that there are a lot of theories out there that as the literally the, or I guess figured, I don't really know, as the virtual reality world progresses, we are going to see like real estate, like private property in the virtual reality world. And so you're going to want to see, and so people of means are going to have their virtual reality home or whatever it is, and they're going to want to hang up artwork, or they're going to want to do whatever. And so that's the other thing that I kind of want to throw into this mix, that if you think that virtual reality is going to be part of the future, then it only makes sense for essentially virtual reality art to be part of that future as well, and for it to have value. So that's kind of what I wanted to chime in there, because this is a really interesting topic or industry, or whatever you want to call. And I kind of wanted to touch a little bit about the basis of potentially why it actually is worth these many things, what the use cases are, and why this may actually be the beginning rather than just an anomaly.
Right. And you said like at least 5 things I kind of want to comment on. Hopefully I can remember all of them.
You got to shut me up, Jeremy. You got to.
No, it's really good. That's why I didn't want to stop you, because there's a lot of good stuff. So one was, you basically mentioned like that, or you mostly spoke about art. And I feel like art is the first space that we're seeing disrupted by NFTs, and it's the first like real use case. But I don't think, think a lot of people are limiting themselves to just the art use. And there's a lot more use cases. It's just that's like the easiest or the first one that's been happening. So one thing though that's also very disruptive with even just being in the art, something that I think is one of the best parts of NFTs in art, is you can tie a commission to it for perpetuity, so that basically a lot of times artists don't get rewarded for their work, because they don't get recognition till years after they complete the work. So they might sell a piece for $100. 20 years later, they're famous. The person who bought it for $100 sells it for $1 million. That person's well off. The artist is still just poor. Doesn't really matter. With NFTs, the artist can basically sell a piece of art, and they can also tie to it whatever terms that they want. They can say, we also get 10% of every sale in the future, or 10% of the first 5 sales, and then we're done, whatever your terms are. So I think that's like a super important aspect that makes it very useful. So that's one thing I wanted to mention.
Can either you or me, just for quick 30 seconds, I promise I'll be quick if you want me to do it, explain why that's so significant?
You go ahead.
Okay. Especially like artists, not necessarily musicians. There is, unfortunately, what happens somewhat frequently is their art doesn't actually become reputable until either much later in life, or they die. Like Van Gogh, from what I remember, like died poor. And so what NFTs and what Jeremy just talked about, the opportunity to continue to generate money from your art as it continues to change hands in the future, it gives an opportunity for a few things to happen. The first one being that artist can make money over their whole lifespan from their creation, rather than just at the point of sale when they're 20 years old, 30 years old, or whatever. So if their art gains popularity during their lifetime, as a lot of artists do, they actually get the fruits of their labor. So now we have a system in place where artists can continue to sell their creativity, but without having to get the real discount on it from not selling it during their prime. So we can now support artists in a way that we've never been able to support them, so that they can continue to work on their craft. And then the other part of it that is important is it also gives us, the fans, because I'm not an artist, it gives us an opportunity to be a stakeholder. So if there's a musician or an artist or something that I really like, I can actually buy a piece of their art early on from them, the way, you could buy something and, get it signed from them. And then if they do blow up, they do become really famous, I not only supported that artist and like helped them when they were like growing, so that they can continue to like provide for themselves and maintain focus on their craft. But now I have something that gets to, I get to show, being like, hey, it's not like I just bought their CD. I have their track, or I have one of their early paintings, or, I have one of those things. And so now I've not only been able to support the artist, but now I actually have skin in the game to be, if they blow up, to be able to, get a return on investment. So there's a couple reasons why the opportunity to be getting revenue down the line is incredibly beneficial for the artist. It allows them to reap the rewards of gaining popularity later in life, and it also incentivizes their early adopters to continue to support them.
29 seconds, 30 seconds. Perfect. Just in time.
Oh, I did it. There we
go. What's it called? No, that's exactly it. And that also, there's a lot of things that I can imagine, but I honestly don't even really know until it'll happen. But that also opens it up for, like, you can reward those early on fans later on, because everything's on the blockchain. Let's say you supported my first 100 NFTs and then I become famous. I can say anyone who comes to my concert who has one of my original 100 NFTs will get a surprise air swap or airdrop of this exclusive whatever. So there's like something I've read where you can geotag or geolocate these NFTs, and there's like a lot of possibilities of like scavenger hunts, or basically like if you go in certain locations, you unlock different features of the NFT, which I thought was pretty cool. But that brings me actually into, I was going to talk about real estate next, but I'm going to talk about this first, and then I'll get into the real estate. This is something I read on Facebook that I thought was super cool. I'm going to just read it directly because I don't know enough about it to just like kind of make it up myself. But this is from a friend, Luke Stokes. He basically said, and this guy's like a Bitcoin OG. He's like a developer. He knows what he's talking about more than me. Says, imagine you're driving down the road and you hit a pothole. You voice command your phone to tokenize it as an NFT and deploy it to a decentralized marketplace. The NFT sale triggers an escrow payment to a DAO, which will release funds to whoever fixes the road. This is just the beginning. You could reward everyone who bids in the auction with a minor version of the NFT. The person who fixes the road also gets a special NFT. A bidding fee could be added, and so forth. But basically, as you can see, like, this technology isn't just for collectibles and fine art. It can really revolutionize literally governance and politics. It also, something else I'm not too familiar with, but in like gaming, I heard they have like NFT emotes. I don't even really know what an emote is, but things that are big in video games, they're making NFTs of it, and it's that's a huge industry for NFTs as well. And then the last one that I'm actually most interested in, you were saying how you need like digital real estate to show all of this art. That those digital plots of land are actually NFTs in themselves. So there's different metaverses, I believe that they're called, like virtual universes. One of the biggest ones is Decentraland, somewhere I'm actually looking into trying to get real estate. And people are like, why would you get virtual real estate? Like, that seems weird. 100%, I think virtual real estate is going to be absolutely huge. Last year, there was a concert in Fortnite. 11 million people went to this concert in Fortnite. Pretty sure that's got to be the biggest concert ever. I can't imagine there's too many concerts bigger than 11 million people. I don't know how you could fit more than 11 million people anywhere. But 11 million people went to this concert in Fortnite. Imagine you have a virtual concert venue in one of these metaverses, Decentraland, for example. When you go to this virtual concert, you actually have to walk to it. It's not like you can just like whatever, go directly there, but a lot of times you have to actually have to walk. If you have to walk, the real estate that's next to that concert venue has 11 million people walking by. You have a virtual e-commerce store, or you have something there, that walkthrough is worth a lot of money. That's more valuable than real estate in Manhattan. I don't think there's anywhere in Manhattan that has 11 million people walk by in a day. But in a metaverse, that's a possibility. So I think virtual real estate is something that's gonna just get huge. It's a matter of which universes are gonna be the most utilized, but whenever there's a universe or metaverse that's utilized a lot, I think that's gonna become extremely valuable and really change the game in a lot of things.
Yeah. And I think it's just all part of the trend. Everything's becoming digitized. We're living in more and more of a digital world. Money is not only was being digitized before Bitcoin, but now with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, it's truly being digitized. And I think the other thing that's important to remember is we're still very, very early on in this industry. The idea of an NFT has only been around for a handful of years and really has only picked up any semblance of prominence or noteworthiness the past 6 months, with NBA Top Shot being one of the big reasons why. NBA Top Shot is basically a company that makes NFTs with NBA players on them with moments. So like 8-second clips, just like 8-second clips of them in the game. And it's an NFT. And I own a few of them, and whatever. They're basically sports cards, except they're digital. And so what I'm trying to get at is these are the first iterations of this technology, with real estate and virtual worlds and things like that beginning to become more and more plausible. The applications are only going to increase. And so, none of what Jeremy and I ever say is investment or legal or tax advice. We're not telling you to buy NFTs. We're not telling you to do anything like this. But I think what we both agree on is it's a very interesting industry. It's very new. There's a lot of objective benefits to it. And it may behoove you to start becoming a little familiar with it, the way it may have behooved you to become a little bit more familiar with cryptocurrencies 5 years ago. So information is power. We think this is a super interesting topic that's worth learning about. And that's why we kind of wanted to bring it to your attention.
And I'm excited to look back on this in a couple of years and wherever NFTs are and be like, oh shit, that's when they first started. Look what we were saying. And we'll see where they're going to be. But I think we're going to, in a couple of years, be really surprised or not surprised of how much application that they have.
Yeah, it'll be super interesting to see if the gaming world or other industries really adopt this. And listen, no one really knows what the future is going to hold. There is a little bit of this hype around NFTs that remind me, and I've done a little bit of reading, this is an original thought, that remind me a little bit of ICOs in 2017. So that is some of the caution that I want to throw out there, even though it seems like Jeremy and I are pretty bullish at this industry as a whole. We're not telling you to buy anything or anything of that sort, because we have no idea.
A lot of people are going to lose out.
A lot of people are going to lose a lot of money because they're going to be seeing all this talk about NFTs and Mark Cuban tweeting about it and Gary Vaynerchuk tweeting about it and whatever. And, they're going to be like, you know what, screw it. I'm going to go on whatever and buy something thinking that prices only go up without actually thinking that there's underlying value behind them. And, there might be in for a rude awakening. And that's kind of like my last point that I wanted to bring up, which is, don't buy things just for the expectation that they're going to go up. If you're going to get something, whether it's an NBA Top Shot card or something like that, like get it because like it provides some type of utility to you. Because if it provides you with utility, it'll most likely provide someone else with utility, and then that's underlying value. But if you only buy things because you think the prices are going to go up, that means the only value to you is through a trade, is through like literally like an investment instrument, which means that other people may be thinking about it similarly, which means there may not actually be underlying value in the mechanism or whatever it is. So that's just my word of caution. I'm super hyped about this topic. Jeremy and I clearly really are into cryptocurrencies and what blockchain technology can do. But be super cautious. There's a lot of craziness going on right now.
Yeah, I basically don't have anything different to add. I just echo everything you've said. So what did you learn this week, Jack?
So before I get to that, two things. One, if you're interested in actually just seeing the market, like what's going on with NFTs, a couple places to start. OpenSea.io, I believe. OpenSea, you can just type that into Google. That's an NFT marketplace. Think eBay with NFTs. You can buy and sell NFTs on that. Again, we're not telling you to buy, but at least it gives you a window to start seeing what else is out there. And so that's the first thing. I want to give you guys a way to actually start like seeing what's going on along with NBA Top Shot. You guys can look into that. That's super easy to find. And then the second thing is you can actually create NFTs by going to Rarible. Just type that into Google. If you have art that you're making, maybe you're an artist and you're trying to figure out how to monetize your own art or whatever, Rarible, type that into Google. You'll find the website, it'll pop up. But, we've talked about NFTs. I just kind of want to give you guys a couple resources so that you can actually put what we're saying into a more crystallized form to better understand and actually see it instead of just listening to Jeremy and I.
That's good advice. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So what did we learn this week?
Yeah, anything you learned?
Yeah. So I got my journal here. I think the biggest thing, like the big, it's not that I learned this necessarily, but the biggest thing that really came to light is how much our mental image, our thoughts really do control our reality and like our physical perception. I've been doing, I stopped doing Wim Hof breathing exercise for a little bit, and I started doing it again the past couple of days. And like, I'm now holding my breath for over 2 minutes. And I think like I'm about to collapse, like every time I'm like doing it. But I just kind of remind myself that it's like I can do this. I can handle like a couple more seconds. And like, it's actually like, if the times I tell myself that like I'm going to hit 2 minutes, like it is not a problem. This is like part of my world. I can do it no problem. The times we're going into it, I'm like, like I don't know if I got a good enough breath right there or something like that. It feeds into negativity. And so something that I was really reminded about this past week is how much, if you can really train your thoughts, you can change your reality.
100%. I'm pretty sure there's actually science behind that now, that like your thoughts literally can change like cells, which is wild, but it really does change reality. So funny enough, my actually thing I learned this week, it wasn't actually a thing I learned this week. I was just gonna share something I did this week. But I went to the banyas this week, the Russian baths. So I went to this one in the Northeast. It was unbelievable. I'm like still zenned out from it. But they have basically like 8 saunas, all different types of saunas. They have like steam room sauna, extra hot sauna, dry sauna, Turkish style sauna, whatever. You go into each one, just sweat a bunch, super relaxing. But they also have an ice plunge. So I did an ice plunge for the first time, and probably haven't done one in like 6 months or so. I kind of fell out of it. So it was nice to get back into that. Like right away, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do these at least weekly again. I'm like upset that I didn't do them for so long. They also have like an ice room, so a different type of cold exposure. But I also did the Wim Hof breathing last week for the first time in a couple months. So I don't know. Similarly, I feel like it's just something that kind of fell out of my routine, and then instantly both those things getting back into them, I'm like feeling great, remembering why I like them so much and remembering like how beneficial they really are. You just have to like take the 10 minutes a day to do them, and it's great.
Yeah, no, I agree. I kind of want to get into ice baths. I've been taking cold showers the past couple of days, or at least for a couple of minutes.
Right.
But ice baths are supposed to be crazy. On a more lighthearted note, I'm listening. So I read, but I also have an Audible book. And I'm reading, or I'm listening to Benjamin Franklin's biography by Walter Isaacson. And one of the things I learned this week was that Benjamin Franklin was kind of a douchebag.
Really?
Yeah, like there's these stories of him. Like there's this one story where him and a few mates are rowing on a boat, and it's supposed to be this one guy's turn, and he decides like he's not gonna row, which like I think normally people would just like give the person like a hard time. Benjamin Franklin threw him into the water and wouldn't let him into the boat for like an hour until he agreed to row the boat. And there's like all these like small stories of him like doing things like this. And like he would write like fake like fan letters to himself because he was a publisher. He had a printing press, whatever. And he would make up people's personas and like write into his publication praising him with like these pseudonyms. And yeah, he's like kind of a funny guy, like also like did some pretty douchey things. But
who knows what we don't know also, like history usually only writes down like the good stuff for the most part. There's probably stuff we don't even know about.
Well, he also had, not that I'm trying to say this any type of derogatory thing, but he also had a kid out of wedlock, and like no one really knows who the mother is or when the kid's birthday actually was or is. And so like this is an interesting cat. And so yeah, I thought I'd bring that to everyone's attention. Like, listen, I think Benjamin Franklin's kind of the man. He did like some amazing things, but like he's also a little douchey from what this book makes it sound like.
Don't say it too loudly. He might get canceled pretty soon. You don't know.
Let's not go that far.
Be able to have $5 bills anymore.
Well, they did that in India. India took away all the major bills. India also banned Bitcoin. That's also news going on.
Yeah, trades at a premium now.
Trades at a premium. Yeah, I think the same thing happened in Nigeria a little while ago. Hey, governments aren't going to go down without a fight. They don't want to lose their greatest strength, which is their monetary system. That and just the power they have over people. So not a surprise. I think it's all bullish news. It just means that Bitcoin's a real threat to take over, in my opinion. So it's been an interesting week. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
Yep. Thank you for listening. If you're still listening in, please like, subscribe, comment, let us know what you want to talk about, or we're going to keep on talking about NFTs. So thank you.
Or Ben Franklin, one or the other.
Or Ben Franklin or whatever. So thank you again. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good one. Peace.
Peace out, guys.